The eyes and ears of Indian country were here, invited by the president to Washington with respect and dignity, listening for hints at the relationship between Native Americans and America's highest leader.
Standing in this room with leaders of all ages, it's impossible not to be optimistic about the future of Indian country. Obviously, we face tough times, but you still believe that tomorrow can be better than today. You're out there making your communities better places to live. What you expect and what you deserve is a federal government that helps, not hinders, your efforts.
President Obama dazzled at the podium, displaying the ease and confidence of a born orator and stressing his administration marks a turning point in relations between natives and the U.S. He thanked his adopted Crow parents, Hartford Sonny Black Eagle and Mary Black Eagle, with characteristic humor.
I'm so grateful they took me into their family. I bet they're grateful that I never went through the terrible twos or terrible teens, you know. They got me after I was a little more polished.
And indeed, the Tribal Nations Conference was polished, uplifting, and smoothly executed. But what was accomplished? It's a question Indian country wants answered, and one Native activist and Seminole Tribe of Florida member, Tina Osceola, has spent a great deal of time thinking about.
I'm not interested in the photo op or the press conference. I'm not interested in whether they use blue velvet or red velvet. It's really not important. We could be sitting on a floor somewhere in the interior, or we could be in the backyard in the middle of winter sitting on the ground for all I care. It's the dialogue that's important. I want to know, what is this president going to do to make Indian country a better, a safer, an economically sustainable, viable, safe place for our people?
If she sounds tough or unforgiving, it's because Osceola says this government made sacred promises to Indian country and the time for action is now. She traveled to D.C. demanding answers.
What type of forward progress has actually been made? You know, what are the deliverables? What is it that the president and the executive branch of government is doing to make it better? Again, we can't look at what Congress has done, you know, because that is what Indian country has done through the use of its lobbyists. What has the executive branch done to deliver forward progress? That's what I'm interested in hearing and getting out of this year's summit.
A top advisor to past Seminole chairman and a former Seminole princess, Osceola says the pomp and pageantry isn't what matters at meetings between the president and the tribal nations.
When you're talking nation to nation, this president does not want to see a lobbyist. This president wants to speak with the tribal leader. That's a call to action. And tribal people, the populace, you know, the general population out there needs to understand that when they're electing that head of state, that tribal leader, they're electing someone who's going to interface with the President of the United States. That's huge. That means they need to know about the health, the education, the housing, law and order. They need to understand public safety. They need to understand historic and cultural preservation. They need to understand all of that and be interested in that.
President Obama made this point at the conference, stressing Native Americans and the United States must talk with respect and equality.
I promised a true government-to-government relationship, a relationship that recognizes our sometimes painful history, a relationship that respects the unique heritage of Native Americans, and that includes you in the dreams that we all share.
To help realize those dreams, Obama announced a new educational initiative aimed at Native Americans and promised help in reducing Native unemployment, which is far higher in Indian country than outside. He championed Native businesses and innovations like the program you're watching, but many want more.
I think it can be a positive thing, but it's a short-term positive thing. And if we back up a little bit, I mean, you know, take some of the emotions out of Obama or the president, and understand that the president, the position of president, is limited. And Obama came into a very, very troubled situation with the United States, and I'm sure he had good intentions. I felt the same way. It was very exciting, you know, when he won the election and we were watching live, you know, the rally in Chicago, and you know, it was really special.
Winnebago tribal member Robert North Sr. has spent his life advancing Native causes and working with Native youth. He's educated, involved, and unemotional when it comes to just what an event like a Tribal Nation Summit can accomplish.
The smart Native American looks at this as one event, one spotlight for Native America in the hopes of many events. But the long term is that just as any American should do, we as Native people need to be in contact with our senators and our congresspeople, and just continue communicating the needs of Native people.
We like to stay positive here on Miccosukee Magazine TV, and our Native News segment will do just that. Both Osceola and North give Obama props and say he's trying under extreme burdens like a crippling national debt that isn't his fault.
This government might go under, which we're all going to be sunk, you know, and so these are complex times that we're going through. But you know, I mean, in summary, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that he's hosting this summit of Native Americans.
I believe this president has lived up to his promises, because the expectations are what we put into what he said. So his promises were really very general and broad, and it was about communication.
If you're left with anything from this first Native News segment, we hope it's hope. Hope in a dialogue, and hope in a future of Indian country and its complex and evolving relationship with the United States.